What's going on, tribe? I am going to do I guess, reaction video, rant video, whatever you want to call it. I call it a thought-provoking opinion and aspect that I took away from what I saw this morning with Columbus Short. Now, I'm only doing this because in the interview that the Breakfast Club did with Dr. Umar, there was a confirmation moment for me where they asked him his thoughts on Cassie and Diddy, and he expressed his thoughts on Cassie and Diddy and the fact that everybody was in an uproar about it. One, because she was light-skinned, and two, because they're famous. Now, all that aside, the things that he said as far as you didn't have no problem with it when you see the males in your life hitting and beating and abusing emotionally, physically, mentally. He didn't go into all of that, but that's what I'm going into at this point, where you see all of this happening real time, face to face, something that you can do about, something that you should have an opinion on, and you say nothing. But let it be a celebrity or anything like that, and everybody's in an uproar. Y'all can go check the comments, because I damn sure commented it, because I damn sure commented because I was like, wow, this is the confirmation moment for me. One, because weeks ago, when I was seeing all the Jaguar right lady coming up on my feeds and suggesting me watch it, I'm like, I watched a few, and in my opinion, she needs mental health help, like, period. It's another thing. I know I'm getting off topic like a mug. It's another thing for when this is supposed to be 2024, supposed to be the age of truth or whatever, the age of truth and all that jazz, which in a sense it is, but that should be every year, every era. But what I am tending to see a lot is the media perpetuate the truth coming from people who are clearly mentally unstable. Like, whatever that lady going through or whatever the case is, I send positive energy towards her, but I'm not going to sit back and act like I don't know and see and recognize mental health, mania, manic behavior within that woman. That was a confirmation moment for me when I thought all these things that he spoke weeks ago with that whole debacle. That's why I brought that lady up and all that thing, because it was a confirmation to me. Because it was like, she was on interviews that the question was asked about Diddy, but she got to speaking about Jay-Z. Like, that has nothing to do with the question that you're asked, which is another reason why I'm like gonna respond and say what I need to say, or what I feel like is on me to say about Columbus Short answer to the question. First and foremost, he did not answer the question. I'm looking down at my notes as I wrote some short notes, because as y'all see, I can get off on a tangent. But he did not answer the question. First and foremost, the man didn't answer the question. The question was, do you feel that the media is demasculating, emasculating, I'm paraphrasing, the black man? That was the question. And he jumped straight to his personal internal feelings about black women. As far as I know, the media is not owned, operated, controlled by black women. That's of my knowledge. If anybody knows anything to the contrary, please let me know and tell me. I don't have no problem admitting being wrong. But none of the media outlets are owned, operated, and controlled by black women. So he didn't answer the question, for one. You didn't answer the question, Columbus Short. That woman asked you, do you feel like the media is demasculating the black man? And of course they are. They have been for decades. This is not a new topic. This is not a new topic of black men being demasculated in the media or being put in a bad light in the media. The disrespect of black men in the media. There's nothing new about that. But black women, single mothered black women to be exact, because that's what he spoke on, are not the headliners of, yeah, we're putting this out into the media platforms. But there are a lot of media platforms, sub-media platforms like YouTube and, you know, everywhere where everybody can get on to speak their mind like I'm doing now, that perpetuates a lot of false narratives and a lot of narratives that demasculate the union of black masculine and feminine. That's one. That's one point that I need to make. And what made me react this way and make a video was, one, seeing the Dr. Umar video and him pretty much giving confirmation as to things that I wanted to speak on weeks ago, but because, you know, whatever, my imposter syndrome, I did it. Ooh, excuse me. So in this moment, I am going to speak on this. Yeah, cigarette smoking it all, because this is real. Washing my hair yesterday ain't did nothing to it. This is real life right here. So the other point, because he didn't answer the question, there has now started to be a narrative around his comments, where the Breakfast Club let the listeners, you know, speak on his opinion, basically. And what I was hearing from the listeners from the clip that I watched was a lot of people, one, who do not understand masculine and feminine energy, for one. So I would suggest a lot of these platforms go and research the universal law of gender. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. What shows up is what needs to show up. If masculine energy is showing up and I'm around a man, then I'm not safe to be feminine. I'm not safe to be in my feminine energy with him. Something about my being lets me know that I need to show up in my masculine energy. I can't show up in my feminine energy with this particular man, male, gender. That's one. Two, I heard a lot of perpetuation of codependency, because a lot of the listeners were like, oh, if a man doesn't meet these specific requirements, then a black woman don't respect them. That's not true. That is not true, and I'm so tired of hearing that. It's not true because it's not a black thing. Any woman who has standards and a man does not meet that standard, she does not have to fool with. She don't. No way, shape, or form. So it doesn't matter what gender you are. If I don't feel like a relationship with you is going to be enlightening, healing, growth, healthy relationship, then no, I don't respect you. If you want me to do things for you that you can't reciprocate, no, I'm not going to do that. First and foremost, the patriarchal society that we live in puts the man at the head, which in a sense I don't have a problem with. So I'm just gonna leave it there. Because I'm getting off topic and I'm getting off topic again. But to have standards and to say that I can do it on my own should not be an attack on the male psyche, the man, the masculine psyche. You should want a woman that can do it on her own, but will allow you to do it for her. Because in all actuality, y'all don't want somebody that's codependent on you unless you're trying to control them. That's another sign of abuse. Like, so these abusive men who are out here perpetuating the narrative that if a woman is too masculine, or a woman has standards, or a woman will call you on your BS, if she's too masculine, she's not respecting me, she demasculates me, instead of me as a man or a male or a person, period, looking at, why am I getting this reaction from this person? I care for them and all of that jazz, and I still can't get no respect. First and foremost, why do you want to gain the respect of someone that doesn't respect you outright naturally in your natural state? Yes, there should be requirements in every relationship. Every relationship, there should be requirements on each party. The first requirement is for you to show up healthy, with the ability to heal, with the ability to take criticism. That's that. And I'm going to leave that one there. A lot of, also what I'm hearing is unhealed adults blaming their childhood for their state of being. Now, everybody, for the most part, majority of people, especially black people, since this is what we're talking about, have trauma around their parenting and, you know, how they feel that things went in their household and how they were parented. But Columbus Short is grown. So for you to still have that, for you to still be perpetuating the narrative that single black mothers are teaching, like I'm telling my daughter, you don't need no nigga, you don't need no nigga, you don't all the whatever the toxic shit that could be said behind that. One, there's no problem with that. We should all be taught to be independent, because then you are not codependent on another person for your happiness, survival, etc., etc. Two, once you get to a certain age in life, I would say teens. For me, I would say your teens. But for society's sake, once you're in your 20s, late 20s, and your narrative, the framing of your story is steeped in your trauma, and what that did to you, and why you make the choices that you make is basically stemming from your trauma, I want you to stay clear away from me. Because why you still blaming people when you grown? You grown. You can't blame nobody for nothing once you get past a certain age to where you are responsible for taking care of yourself. So if you're responsible for taking care of your own bills, and you're responsible for taking care of, you know, all this adulting, if you're adulting out here, you should be healing yourself from your childhood trauma. Because I'm doing that. I'm doing that work. I'm doing that inner work. So hell no, another man, black, white, purple, blue, green, is gonna come to me and say, oh, I want you to do this because I feel like you should do this. A conversation will be had with me on what's your reasoning behind certain requirements of me, especially if those requirements are not within you. And I say that because there's no way that I am going, as a black woman, am going to sit here and say Columbus Short was right in that. He was, I'm not going to say he was right in no way, shape, or form. The things that he spoke to happen. They do happen in certain households. In a toxic household where there is a feminine energy, and I'm not even going to say feminine energy, because at that point, she's a masculine energy. There's no way that I am going to allow a man to perpetuate to me that because a person was raised with a single mother and that single mother taught them to be independent, because I don't believe that single mothers are out here like, I don't need no help, I don't need no nigga. And if she is, ask her if she got a child support order. Ask her if she got a child support order. Just the mere fact that you sought out help from the government to assist with financial portions of raising your child clearly states that you don't want to do it alone. Nobody wants to raise a child alone. Nobody really wants to go through life alone. We're here to partner and have relationships and things of that nature. So, yes, some bitter women who are mad at the situation and the person that they chose to have sex with, and a baby came forth and the relationship didn't work. Some women will be bitter and perpetuate that message, but it's not off of the simple fact that she didn't need a man. You get what I'm saying? Like, she didn't need him. Yes, she does. She does. She does. And the father, a single father, needs a mother. It's parenting takes a village. So for you to perpetuate, oh, it's single black women that is doing this and this is why, this is that, cool, okay, you know that. So how many black women have you entered into a relationship with after you were your best version of you, Columbus Short? Did you entertain and grow with, try to figure out, try to understand? Just like you want us to understand your plight, how many of us have you really attempted to understand our plight before you went off and did, and went with a white woman, and now your whole mind frame is that black women don't respect you? That's bullshit. Because 9 times out of 10, if a black woman don't respect you, a white woman don't respect you neither. But white women clearly want that token nigga. Especially if he got money. Especially if he got money. But it don't mean that he gotta have money. Because we see white girls out here that are with black men that don't have no money. you get what I'm saying? Like, so one, I have a question is as to what I feel like should have been asked other than what was asked is, what do you feel, what is disrespect to you coming from a woman? Ethnicity aside, what is disrespect? Because most of what I get and I understand when I hear a man, a black man, frame that narrative is that she just wouldn't submit. She wouldn't submit. She's not going to jump when you say jump. She's not going to do everything that it is that you want her to do in your fashion, in your way. You're not the ruler, the conqueror, the emperor over her. That's what I feel like should have been asked as a question. But mind you, I didn't go and look at the interview that he did, that Columbus Short did on that podcast. One, first and foremost, because I didn't like the energy that I heard in the clip of his response. Because the girl was like, oh, they gonna get mad. Oh, they gonna get mad. I'm not about to go listen to that, because at that point, your energy is letting me know that that's the answer you wanted. That's the answer you wanted. That's why you posed the question to that particular man. Columbus Short is with a white woman. Media is owned and operated by white people. What other way was he going to answer that question? And he's obviously still traumatized and has not dealt with the relationship he has with his mother, or how he was raised. He has not healed from that. He has not gotten past that narrative, that story. He keeps telling that story to himself so that his life reflects in alignment with what he wants. And this is not to bash him, because my whole thing with this is having informed conversations and also putting things into context. Now, this went all into pitting black people against each other, black women and black men, pitting them against each other. Because as long as we're pitted against each other, there's not going to be any strength in our community, period. Now, another thing that is troubling to me about that narrative, and the fact that that narrative has been perpetuated for decades, is the fact that he didn't answer the question. He did not answer the question. The question was, do you feel the media, not black women, the media. So why, as an interviewer, do you allow him to continue on with not answering your question? Because you framed the question to be as such. Me personally, I would have took it back. Like, okay, yeah, I understand what you feel about that and how you feel about that, and that stems from something deeper than this platform is able to talk about. So, I'll repeat my question. Do you feel as if the media is perpetuating black men in a negative manner, not respecting the black man? Because that's evident. That's a clear yes. And any black man that says no is delusional. Sorry. Not sorry. But what I want for us to take away from this as black women, because clearly I'm not mad, I could care less about what Columbus Short did as far as blanketing a portion of black women as being toxic and perpetuating a I don't need a man thing. Because when you are, well, that's not right, because I was going to say when you are brought up in a 2-parent household as a black girl or black boy, those things don't happen. And that's just not true. That's just not, it's just not true. Because it's everybody is out here attempting to navigate life. And the moment that you put your parents on a pedestal as they can do no wrong, they're not human, you know, they don't have these particular emotions, they don't get stressed. Like, the moment we attempt to be superheroes for our children is when things like this start to happen. Because when they see you in your bad moments, or if all the moments are bad, as to say that there is a good or a bad, is, you know, because I don't really get down with that good and bad kind of thing. Like, nothing is really good or bad, it just is. So how are you going to navigate it? So what I would like to take away from this conversation, and for anybody else who sees this video to take away, is to one, answer questions correctly. Two, when there is a narrative that is perpetuated that is not in alignment or false to your belief or your way of life or your way of thinking, that we are able to show up and voice our opinion in a way that is not emotional. Because I feel like he answered that question in an emotional way, because you didn't answer the question. Columbus Short, you did not answer that woman's question. Now, am I going to go and investigate to see if more was said? No, because that is what was presented to me. That is what I was called to speak on. And I don't think that, I'm not going to go watch that, because I really feel like I'm going to feel the same afterwards. And I might end up being mad at the end of the podcast, and not at Columbus Short, but the podcast, because there's a lot of podcasts out here that are perpetuating some bullshit, and I mean bullshit, hot, fresh bullshit. We are all supposed to be awakening and aligning. So for any podcast to perpetuate dysfunction, separation, and just all out pitting specific groups against each other, I just can't go for it, because it's more to that. And even when we get to talk about politics and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not gonna go into, because a lot of y'all don't even understand the political arena at all. Y'all just listen to the media and do what the fuck the media tell y'all to do. That's another thing that Dr. Umar kind of spoke on. He didn't speak on what I'm speaking on, as far as people really not being educated enough to vote, or even being educated enough to understand that who we have as a president doesn't fucking matter. Congress and the Supreme Court, and probably another entity that we have no idea, is really what's making the decisions. So it doesn't matter if Trump or Biden wins. It's still gonna be the same. Your day-to-day ain't shit about your day-to-day gonna change, because I can guarantee you that at least 85% of the American population is struggling. I don't care what your price bracket is. I mean, not your price bracket, what your wage bracket is, what your tax bracket is. Well, you can't say that, because, you know, people who have businesses are, I can't say they're not struggling, because they probably are too, but they're taxed different. But I do, he said that as a whatever trillion in buying power that I guess black people are, there's no way that we should be looking for reparations. That's what was the thought. That was what came in my head that make me say that specific thing. But I'm really just trying to convey the fact that we get wound up about specific comments that are not placed into context. It's not a broad discussion. And a lot of the messages are convoluted and contradictory on purpose. Because they want us distracted. And they want us distracted because as long as we're distracted, we're not ascending. We're not ascending to convene with our higher self and our system of belief, our higher system of belief, if we're worried about Columbus Short saying that black women don't respect black men, which is clearly bullshit. It's clearly bullshit. Like, if you feel like black women don't respect black men, you haven't been around enough black people. Like, period. Like, now, is there certain things that black women aren't going to tolerate? Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. Hell yes. Because why should we? Why should we? Why should we? Give me one valid reason why we should. That's one. And two, it's mighty funny to me that no other race of men have that same opinion of us, unless they are, misogynistic. A misogynistic man, it doesn't matter what color you are, is going to want you to submit, do everything he says, and his way is the highway, because they're still in that primal mind state where they have to conquer. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Because let the right man come along and, oh yeah, baby, you can conquer me. I'll be your prized possession. And I'm getting off topic yet again. But that's how conversations go. I even wrote my notes down and I did hit on all my points. So I'm not gonna say as if I didn't do what I came here to do, but I still have to put my extra little sauce on it so that folks understand that I'm not coming at this from an emotional standpoint, but an articulate standpoint. One, he didn't answer the question. The question wasn't about whether or not black women respect black men. The question was geared toward media outlets and how they perpetuate the image of the black man. So why was it that black women were placed into the conversation? Again, because Columbus Short is answering the question emotionally. And he is attempting, because he is, and I don't even understand why if he is attempting to save face, why he would do that. Because bro, I haven't seen you in a mainstream movie in I don't know how long. I haven't seen you in mainstream anything and I don't know how long. But again, I'm also not out here just watching whatever comes on. I choose what I watch. So that could be another reason why I haven't seen him in anything. But I still don't understand why he would answer the question in the way that he answered the question, because he didn't answer the question, and why he felt the need to take it that way. I don't understand why he felt the need to frame the narrative in the way that he framed the narrative. I mean, I understand, but I'm just gonna say I don't understand. Because if I really got into it, then I would be called a hater, or I'm placing judgment, or whatever the thousands of things that would be said to people who are actually speaking the truth and not just getting on the internet in their manic moments. I actually seek the truth. Good, bad, or indifferent. I want to know the truth about something, not the way something is being framed, you know. And I feel like it was framed that way by the Breakfast Club as well, because they are a media outlet. They do, although all of those are black faces, they do have a white media boss, owner, to answer to. They can only talk about specific subjects, and is, you know what I mean? Like, all of this shit is scripted, basically, is what I'm getting down to. Of course, the narrative was framed that way because that's the narrative. They want to keep us as separate from each other as possible, because the closer we get to each other, the more powerful we get as a collective, as a tribe. And I mean black people and African people, and then also with me personally, I don't like the whole racial ethnicity kind of narrative that goes on in the world, period, because we all know, and it has been scientifically proven, that every being on this planet has black in their DNA. Because our foremother that birthed humanity was black. Bones were found. Research has been done. Documentaries have been done about when all the continents were together, and the effect of the continents separating, global warming, climate things that are going to happen regardless if we have abundance of technology or not. So these are all things that if we were a people of learning and actually seeking the truth, we would find these things out. We all know that at one point in time, all the continents were together, and now they're not. So migration happened so that we could survive, because that's the human mammal, well, really life code. That's the life code to try to survive. So anyway, the genetic code of every being on this planet and every other is to survive. And the only way you survive is to adapt. But I feel like what we're adapting to now is going to kill us all. Not to be so morbid, but it really is. Like, I look at the things that I see, and I look at the interactions that I have with people on the daily, and a lot of people have no idea who they are, what they're actually made up of, They know nothing about these universal laws that I spoke of earlier with the law of gender. None of it. But they know everything that has to do with entertainment and entertainers. If we focus a lot of our energy, most of our energy, on ascension and getting better and healing from whatever, then I feel like a lot of things wouldn't be the way that they are. And I do agree with Dr. Umar partially when he says that the way that, the Black nation can unionize and change the narrative that we've had since, since the whole slavery thing, would be to teach the children that. But the only way, another confirmation for me through numerology, but it's for me, so I'm not gonna tell y'all, but I don't feel like that's the only way, because if we are to teach them but we have not healed, unlearned, and relearned ourselves, then how are we teaching them? How can we possibly teach them anything different if we don't do anything different as far as learning, unlearning, relearning, ascending, healing? How do we teach them that? So I don't feel like it's in the hands of, it's totally in the hands of our future generations. I don't feel like it's totally in the hands of our future generations. So to his point, I do feel like as time goes on, yes, our children would be the ones that change the trajectory and the narrative of the Black experience. But I also feel as if Black people now that are grown, 30s, 40s, and beyond, even 20s, I'm gonna say 20s, because a lot of y'all are like, what the hell? But I don't blame y'all, because y'all grew up with social media. I don't blame y'all because y'all grew up with social media. I feel like it's the responsibility for us who did not grow up with social media to kind of school y'all on what the fuck is important. And not even necessarily what is important, like how to frame your life. Like, because I feel like a lot of conversations are not being had unless it's on a topic that is either one, taboo, or perpetuating a narrative that's already detrimental to not only Black society, but society as a whole. And I also feel as if, no, I'm not gonna speak on that. 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 See, this is gonna end up having to be I'm gonna have to edit this fucking video. That's why I hate doing shit like this, because I end up having to take freaking hours to edit some shit when it's just, But I'm probably not, because you know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to upload this as it is. I'm not gonna edit it or anything. But what I will do is create a short, so that I can put in a 60-second in a 60-second format my feelings on Columbus's shorts comment. I think that's what I'm gonna do, because a lot of this was rant, but I don't want to say rant, because when I think of rant, I think of somebody just talking out the side of their neck. I'm not talking out the side of my neck. These are all things that I've thought about thoroughly for more than 60 seconds, an hour, a day, a week. These are things that I think about daily, because I'm in the world as you are in the world as well. I see what's going on, but a lot of the times I don't voice my opinion because I don't feel as if it's going to reach a lot of people. And I feel like the 4 interviews that I watched this morning let me know that I'm wasting what I was sent here for, like a portion of what I was sent here for, because I don't think I was sent here to react to other people's trauma, because I really feel like Columbus Short answered that question with his trauma mind. You know, he didn't answer that question. He didn't answer the question at all. Let me just reiterate that again. He didn't answer the question that was framed to him. He didn't answer the question that was asked of him. To correct myself, because it was framed to him in that exact way, for him to answer in that exact way. Because there's no way that same podcast, 1, would have had Dr. Umar on there, and 2, would have asked him that question. Because the short answer would have been yes, and then he would have went into the various ways that media disrespects, emasculates, and just disrespects black men. And if that's a society thing, because media is what controls society, really, majority of y'all that are still in the cog and wheel, or the matrix is what everybody else calls it. Those are y'all that are still basically just zombies out here. Yeah, that's what y'all listen to. That's what y'all make your decisions based off of. That's who y'all figure out, who y'all gonna promote, who y'all gonna stand behind, who y'all gonna, respect, who y'all gonna, that's what y'all do. Like, and y'all can't lie about it. And if y'all do, then y'all just be lying to yourself. But I welcome all the smoke. I welcome all the comments or whatever you want to have to say. But make them good, so they have a good rebuttal for you all. Now if and when I ever have comments enough to rebuttal and speak to y'all on, I'm gonna do research. I didn't do no research on this because I felt like the confirmation moment and just the whole way that the conversation in the comments were playing out on the Breakfast Club was my reasoning for coming on here doing that. Because listening to the response of the public calling in response to what Columbus Short said, that what I took away from it is that a lot of us, at least people who are willing to call in and let their voice be heard, and I'm not even gonna say us, because I wouldn't be in that mode, because if I had called or got through, first thing I would have said is he didn't answer the question. So let's talk about the question, not his answer. That would have been the first thing I said. But as with me hearing it and hearing other members of society one, not addressed the fact that he didn't answer the question, but two, went straight to their trauma storytelling. All of them. And then they were contradicting themselves because DJ Envy asked if DJ Envy said, and he asked all of those who were agreeing with Columbus Short the question of, what would you teach your daughter? Like, because I teach my daughter basically to be independent. It's basically what he said in a nutshell. I teach my daughters to be independent. So, and I'm not a single mother, a single black mother, perpetuating toxicity of I don't need a nigga, I don't need a man. I'm teaching my daughters to be independent so that they don't become codependent on the man who is supposed to be the leader of everything. And I put man in quotations because there are a lot of people with penises that are not men. May be the wrong way to say it. It's gonna definitely get a lot of people upset, but guess what? I don't give a fuck. Just because you have a penis and balls between your legs does not make you a man. And I could speak on other things that will prove that, but I won't do it because I'm not really attempting to start shit with nobody with this conversation. But I have a lot of opinions on things that revert back to my learning, unlearning, and relearning of what this thing called life really is and should be. So we're not going to, because I could go into a lot of things that will get a lot of people upset. Thank God it's not June anymore, but that just is what it is. And everybody who know me should know that I'm on some foolery just by saying God, because I don't call the Most High, the higher power, God. I call it divine source energy. Divine source energy is no gender. It has no gender. It has no name other than divine source energy. To me, whatever you call it, I respect you as long as you respect me. And I ain't even gonna say that because I'll respect you regardless. I respect your stance on what you believe regardless of what you believe. Because for me to not respect your stance, is also in turn me disrespecting myself. Because if I would want someone to respect my stance, how could I, with a straight face, disrespect another person's stance? Whether I agree with you or not is a totally different subject, and it really doesn't matter whether or not I agree with you on your stance. Your stance is your stance. So do what you do. But what I do require is for people to show up as it is. Don't come to me with no mask on your face and then act like I'm supposed to just talk to the mask. No, I'm not gonna talk to the mask. I want you to take the mask off, because if you take the mask off, then I know that you're able to listen and hear me and my stance. Because I'm able to listen and hear anyone and their stance. Whether I agree with it or not is, like I said, a totally different thing. We can agree to disagree. We can disagree and continue to disagree. Have a debate and all of this kind of thing, But my problem is when the disrespect turns into... Well, when it turns into disrespect, period. Because when it turns into disrespect, that means that you're trying to indoctrinate me into your way of thinking. And we don't think the same. And we don't have to think the same. And we shouldn't think the same. But that's gonna take me into a whole nother topic and all of that stuff. So I'm just gonna leave this here and go make this short real quick.